Hello. In this video we will be analyzing the captain of the expedition in Season 1 of The Terror from AMC, Sir John Franklin, as well as his wife, Lady Jane Franklin. So, let's begin. John's first scene serves as an introduction to both himself as a captain and the Arctic voyage as a whole. John Franklin is portrayed here as a cheery captain, full of excitement for his mission in the Discovery Service and the glory it may bring himself and his crew. John opts to visit Crozier on Terror for dinner, during which we see the first signs of his methods of leadership. John delivers bad news about the ice, but frames it in such a way that it is not of concern. We see him use a very common social tactic, downplay and deflect.
Mr. Reed and I chatted about the ice today. He tells me we started sailing past slabs he thinks are not part of the summer breakup.
Old ice?
He's not concerned. He thinks we're close to an intersection with some bigger channel coming down from the north, bringing bergy bits with it. But it means our little summer strait is likely coming to an end. It is yet to be named, and I thought Sir James Ross could be on it thusly.
He downplays and gives an excuse for the reason the ice reads are not looking good, and immediately follows up with the potential name for a landmark that has been discovered. In a private meeting of the three captains, John and James both maintain a dismissive attitude towards Crozier's concerns, maintaining a strong confidence that they will be completing their mission this year. We then get a flashback, back in Britain during which a play where James Ross and Francis Crozier are being celebrated for having attended plays that depict themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our great honor to find up in the boxes tonight the actual Sir James Ross.
Get up, old man.
Bravo, gentlemen. Bravo.
Lady Jane Franklin insists that her husband stand alongside them for the applause, despite him not having any connection to the celebrated event. This gives us the impression that John's wife, Jane, is rather concerned with his social standing, either believing that he is deserved more or subscribes to the fake it till you make it ideology. Back on the expedition, with Erebus having a bent propeller and slowing its pace, Crozier begs John to essentially abort the search for the Northwest Passage for now and abandon the slowed Erebus to avoid being caught in pack ice.
As well, we know that the ice ahead is increasing dramatically, both in thickness and amount, but we must be nearly in sight of King William Land. Then it isn't but another 200 miles before we can pick up the Western charts and draw in this final piece of the puzzle once and for all.
Yeah.
Our situation is more dire than you may understand. That is not just ice ahead. It is the pack, and you are proposing that we cross it in September. Even with leads, it could take us weeks of picking our way through it. We may not have weeks.
Well,
it's already a colder year than last.
I've been to the Arctic, Francis.
On foot, and you nearly starved. Not all of your men returned. I say this with all due honor.
For God's sake, Francis.
A captain is due his candor. So what would you propose instead?
If we consolidate all our coal on the less damaged ship, we'd have enough to go for broke and get east of King William Land, possibly around it before winter. It's our best and probably only chance.
Again, John, believing that he is so close to the grand achievement, downplays and deflects Crozier's concerns, despite Crozier being the most knowledgeable of Arctic Sea expeditions among the captaincy.
That is an interesting speculation. But of course, we will not be abandoning Erebus nor Terror, should she suffer some minor misfortunes. We are almost there.
Hear me,
gentlemen.
John. It won't matter if we're 200 or 2,000 miles from safe water. If the leads close up and we are out there in it, we'll have no idea where the current will move the pack, of which we will be a part.
Certainly good to see color in your cheeks again, Francis. But we are 2 weeks from finding the Grail. And it is my belief that God and winter will find us in safe waters by the end of the year. The Sandwich Islands, or even further. Bury your boy, young, and we'll be on our way west around King William Land as planned.
Barry,
Yes, a mercy. It was a long night.
John's constant appeals to God and his desire to have Young buried on land despite the dire circumstances show him to be a stronger than average man of faith. However, in this case, it is to his detriment.
Our Lord and Father will see us through. Whatever morning brings.
Here, we see John performing a funerary speech for Young, and doing so quite well. In this scene, and some others later, we see how much John enjoys giving speeches and orders, with him being rather proficient in the social aspects of being a captain. Additionally, pretty much every time the crew mentions Captain John, it is with high reverence. I would say higher than simply what is owed in his ranks. This shows us that Sir John Franklin's strongest trait, and likely his means of attaining his position on this expedition, is his charisma. This is a wonderful trait to have as a leader, but John seems to lack the intelligence and/or wisdom to perform as an adequate leader in difficult circumstances, as we will soon come to see that his refusal of Crozier's suggestions has gotten the ships stuck in the pack ice.
Get the ice anchors up. We're part of it now.
sir.
Your demeanor should be all cheer, gentlemen. You understand? It's going to be tight, but that's what we signed up for. An adventure for Queen and country. An adventure of a lifetime. That's what you tell the men.
Even with this unfortunate news, Franklin handles it charismatically, as the ships are more than prepared to spend a winter in the ice, and he does not yet see the circumstances as dire, rather just an inconvenient, temporary setback. After they have spent the entire winter over ice, we see a meeting between John and Crozier, with John apologizing for his mistake and trying to make amends with Crozier. This largely fails, as Crozier still maintains fear about their situation, while John still maintains his confidence that they will be thawed out after winter is done.
These are the signs here.
There's signs of a cold night.
Signs that nature does not give a damn about our plans.
Is nature's author nowhere in your tally?
Back on his home ship of Erebus, John confirms with James, and here we see the true extent of John's shortcomings, as John blames himself for not being able to win Crozier over, despite James blaming Crozier himself for his doubts about the situation.
You should not have to bear his grievances.
Yeah, well, perhaps it is I who's unable to truly bring him into the bosom of my confidence. I want to. I've always planned to, but then when I'm with him, I don't know why I falter.
You have done everything for the man.
Have I?
John is good with his charisma, and so that is what he focuses on in the moment. Not the dire situation, but how he makes Crozier feel. He focuses on this rather than the circumstances of their expedition, because he believes they will be able to complete it soon. He lacks the wisdom to defer decisions to those more expert than himself, in this case Crozier, and is more concerned with England being happy with his expedition results. Here, we get the first instance of John showing fear for his situation.
Funny to think of this place as home, isn't it?
His words are still light, but his face is full of terror. We then go to a flashback in England. This is where we learned that Crozier has been courting John's niece, Sophia, with John strongly disapproving due to Crozier's Irish lineage, falling in line with his character's sole focus on society and optics.
He's suitable for a good many women. I've no doubt. But just under a different banner than ours.
Here, we get a flashback with Sir John Ross, an Arctic veteran, warning John Franklin of the inhospitality of the region.
What plans have you made, Sir John?
All kinds of plans, of course.
In case the ships are ice-locked.
Oh, we are amply provisioned for 3 years and up to 5 with strict rationing.
Your rescue plan. What is your rescue plan?
I have followed every Admiralty protocol.
There'll be nothing. You hear? Nothing lives there. Nothing grows. You'll eat your shoes again. You'll eat worse. Death is slow in the great white nothing, and 134 starved men will turn devil against you, starting with the ones you hold closest.
It then cuts to Lady Jane Franklin dismissing Ross's concerns to her husband.
Better John Ross blame an unyielding North than own up to his poor captaining. If the Arctic bedeviled him, why should it open to you? That's his thinking. We've been misunderstood, darling. John Ross isn't the only one. Van Diemen's Land was a horrible blow.
I won't allow another man to play politics against me ever again. I was a good governor, Janie.
You were an excellent governor. It's just that history was given a different story. But in 2 years, when you return from the passage, no one will misunderstand us, John. You will have bested them all.
We will talk more about Lady Jane later, but for now, Lady Jane is portrayed as an extremely supportive wife to her husband, with a similarly charismatic-oriented character. Back on the expedition, Crozier requests John to send an overland rescue party, which Crozier believes they must do now if they do not thaw and are stuck for another year. Despite Crozier's valid concerns, John dismisses and refuses. In this clash of captains, John Franklin's flaws, say that 5 times fast. John Franklin's flaws burn bright, with nearly every counterpoint to Crozier's suggestions and concerns appealing to optics or degrading Crozier.
I apologize for the timing of this request, but its virtue is in its speed. I'd like permission to send a sledge party out south, not for Leeds this time, for rescue. If the party leaves now, they'll have 3 full months to get there before winter comes in force.
That is 800 miles, Francis. No, I do not grant permission.
At least tell me you understand why I'm suggesting it.
You are suggesting it because you are a man who's happiest with a glass of knock-me-down in one hand and an alarm bell in the other.
I'm suggesting it because if this cold continues and we find ourselves overwintering again in this ice, help must already be on its way come spring. If we are to survive, I'd rather send out 8 men now for a long, unnecessary walk than risk a necessary one for all of us in a year.
I will not allow it. What signal would that send to the men?
It's not the men I'm concerned about signaling. No one knows where we are.
That is how you already see it. In need of saving.
I do. And there is just enough time.
I have lost 6 men on this expedition to date. And you asked me to risk more than doubling that number. I will not lose another man, Francis.
We may lose all our men. That is what my alarm is ringing now, Sir John. I'm at a loss why yours is not.
You are the worst kind of second, Francis. You abuse your freedom. You complain in the safety of speculation. You claim foresight in disasters that never happen, and you're weak in your vices because your rank affords you privacy and deference. Right? You've made yourself miserable and distant and hard to love, and you blame the world for it. I'm not the sailor you are, Francis, never will be. But you will never be fit for command. And as your captain, I take some responsibility for that. For the vanity of your outlook. I should have curbed these tendencies rather than sympathize with them. Because you seem to have confused my sympathy with tolerance. But there is a limit to how much I can tolerate. And that is where we are presently standing. There are some things we were never meant to be to one another. I see that now. Friends on my side. Relations on yours. Now you must excuse me. I have a service to finish writing for tomorrow. It will have to act as the only eulogy our boy Graham will be given out here. And I intended to sing.
After this exchange, John goes out to the bear hunting party for a picture and to boost morale. The party is attacked by Thunbach, with John attempting to flee back to the ships for assistance. Before he can reach help, however, Thunbach gets him by the leg and drags him across the ice. This scene is shot in such a way that Thunbach is not shown at all, and it appears that John is nearly flying across the ice, as it cuts between this and shots of him seemingly helplessly flying around the halls of Admiralty in England. John seems as though he is stumbling or flailing about, both within high society as well as on his Arctic expedition. Despite his charisma, his lack of wisdom and intellect led him to make terrible decisions in his position of leadership, leading him here to an icy death spurned on by Tunbach. This is the end of John Franklin's story in Terror, but we get some more development later from his wife, Jane. In the intro of episode 4, we see Lady Jane and Sophie sitting in a meeting with the Admiralty of the Discovery Service. Lady Jane asks them what their plan is and demands that they act when she learns that there is no plan, to which John Ross wholeheartedly agrees.
We feel that you, gentlemen, must do more than consider. You must enact a plan now.
She could not be more correct. There's no basis for a determination in anything here. It's a bold decision, is it not? Do we risk unnecessary expenditure of pounds now or of men later?
This scene is a very clever reversal as Lady Jane, despite dismissing John Ross's concerns for a rescue plan years prior, is now at a table where he is perhaps the only man she agrees with. Despite John Ross's support, the rest of the Admiralty is largely not concerned yet, and say that they can wait further before enacting any plans, showing that the Admiralty is likely plenty full of charismatic fools much like John Franklin. In this scene, Lady Jane also displays a virtue of humility, which her husband seemed to lack.
For alarm, we have confidence absolute in your husband's command.
Are you sure that that's merited? All of us in this room know that John was not your first choice to lead this expedition. Nor was he your second.
Well, I don't see how that
Not
applies.
even your third. We all know John. He's as wonderful as he's fallible.
Being John Franklin's wife, she would know him better than any other, and describes him perfectly with those words, as lovable as he is fallible. When the Admiralty ultimately refuses, she sets herself on funding her own rescue mission.
Then we will do it. Imagine what our nation will not.
Fund a ship, is that what you mean?
Compared to what your uncle and Francis and the rest of the men must be managing this very hour, asking our set to put down its sherries to write checks is nothing. He needs us, Sophia. I can feel it. As if you were with us. Here. Right now. Asking.
We don't see Lady Jane again until episode 9, during which we see that she has been given an opportunity to request funds from philanthropists for her rescue mission by the writer Charles Dickens.
I wonder if you might be induced to subscribe next not to another cultural society, but to a smart little ship, a ketch, outfitted to venture to that very same land into which my husband and more than 100 other good men have bravely sailed. Which of you good people would like to see your name published among its patrons?
Much like her husband, she is an excellent public speaker, even as we see the hints of fear in her eyes. Overall, Lady Jane and Sir John Franklin made a perfect couple, both being charismatic and keen on British high society, with Lady Jane seemingly the more competent and wise of the two. As for Sir John, if we went off purely vibes, was seemingly an amazing captain, with rallying speeches and a keen sense of crew morale. Aside from these charismatic feats, Sir John fails miserably in leadership, failing to listen to his wiser and more experienced constituents. He discards practicality and caution for faith, cheer, and potential glory. It is entirely reasonable to say that the gruesome fate of the entire crew can mostly be blamed on Sir John Franklin and his decisions. Charisma can get you very far in society, and in the case of John, put him in a position of power that he was not capable of managing.